cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's time again to cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's the number one podcast. The topics of discussion when we broadcast. So all them artificial man jokes, we do it natural from the concrete to a public standpoint. Real, wherever you're from, life is coexistence, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. Wherever you're from, life is coexistence, but to know the real, you just gotta listen.
What up, everybody, and welcome to the 52 Scott Podcast. This is For Women Wednesday. I'm your host, Freddie G, joined by my co-host, K Money, Slash, and Comedian 96. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast. On Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. And for all my YouTubers, don't forget to like and subscribe. And welcome to another Women Wednesday. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest. Generally speaking, a lot of men place more emphasis on a woman's beauty rather than her qualities, her other qualities. And as for women, when it comes to men, their emphasis are normally focused on two things. Can he provide and can he protect? In translation, how much money do he have? And can he protect me physically and emotionally? Now, let's keep it real. The more beautiful a woman is, the more access she have to a financially stable man. And as for men, the more unattractive he is, the harder it is for him to get a beautiful woman if he don't have money. Although beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you are more likely to see a beautiful woman with an unattractive man rather than a handsome man with an unattractive woman. However, if you do see a handsome man with an unattractive woman, there's a good chance that woman has some money. With that being said, today's show is about men devaluing themselves and or allowing a woman to devalue them. Now, the sad part about that is a lot of men don't know that they have devalued themselves or that a woman have devalued them. There are too many men not knowing their true value. They only see value in themselves based upon what they can do for a woman. Let me make it make sense. Take the average looking single man with a job, living from paycheck to paycheck, have a roof over his head, and has a decent vehicle. And he really wants to be in a committed relationship. If he sees an attractive woman with no ring on her finger, getting out of a car that's worth about $100,000, dressed like she works in corporate America, there's a good chance that man will admire her from a distance. 9 times out of 10, he will not approach her. Not because he's shy, and not because he's ugly. The reason he would not approach her is because he don't value himself to be worthy of her. Now let me make it make sense. Most single guys that encounter women in the hypothetical scenario I just described, he will devalue himself on the spot. First, he will lie to himself by assuming she's high maintenance. Secondly, he'll convince himself that she won't be interested in him because his paper ain't right. Guys, that's where you're wrong. You have more to offer than just money. If you want an attractive woman with class, it's your job to show her your value extends beyond money. So with that being said, fellas, let me ask, why do men see the most value in themselves when they have money?
That's easy, man. Money makes you move different. You know what I'm saying? The confidence is up, your ego is up. It just makes you feel good about yourself.
I would say it's this. Use myself for an example. At one point, I still don't get it wrong. Now, I will talk to a woman with kids. This is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I will. But when I years ago, I made a certain amount of money, maybe 30, 40,000, which, I thought was good, right? And I dated women with children. Not, like you said, I didn't value myself. Like I said, years ago. It could be a woman with 3 kids, 4 kids. And at that time, I wasn't thinking like this. I'm coming into this relationship. If she got 3 kids, I'm in 4th place coming in. So even making 40,000, I don't make that now. I'm just saying, even making 40,000 a year, I should not have. Especially if it's a woman that's, I got to take care of my kids first, then me, then her, then me. That puts me in 4th place, right? So when a guy is making great amount of money or a really good money,
would you make more than 40?
Yeah, I make more than 40. Yeah. I make way more than that. So what I'm saying, once you get there, and again, it's not about money. It's about what I would accept.
No, we're talking about like valuing yourself. Like,
right.
Why do most men?
That's what I'm saying. I'm getting at it. Again, it's not about money. It's about time. It's about being able to do things with her, things that I could normally do, and it's like, oh well, no, my child got track practice. They got drummer class I got to go to, so I'm automatically in 4th place. Everything will come. The kids and her will come first before me, and there's no way a man with a greater deal of money is going to come into a situation where they're going to run a race and to end up only in 4th place. They'll never be first because the 3 kids, and then the girl will be first, and then the guy. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm an outsider. They're not my kids. They're probably her kids.
Now you asked the question. It was probably rhetorical while you were explaining. You said, "You get what I'm saying?"
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm lost.
You're lost. Okay.
So, but. Y'all help me.
Y'all
I'm lost also in regards to the question that Freddie G asked. I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, based upon the question I asked, I said, let me ask, why do men see more value in themselves when they have money?
Right. So what he's saying is, when a guy makes a certain amount of money, why do we see value like that? It's like, I'm not willing to accept the bull and be in 3rd, 4th place because, don't get me wrong, your kids do matter. But if you're making a certain amount of money and you go into a relationship and I'm bringing all this money to you, and then I gotta wait for the other 3 kids, then you, then me, and I'm in 4th place, that ain't fair to the man. I'm paying all the bills, I'm doing everything, but now you got me in last place.
So let me
because
ask you
the
this.
kids are before me.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You're looking at it from the standpoint of the woman putting you in a specific order.
Yeah, and that's every man.
I'm talking about you within yourself. So let me rephrase it.
Right.
Let me go around and do it again. So let me ask you, how do a man present his value to a woman if money is not involved? Because you there has to be more value to a man than just money.
Yeah, protection.
So how do a man present his value to a woman other than just money?
Simple things.
Go ahead. In this situation, you're going to have some sort of intelligence, number one, to answer that question. If you ain't got that, you're going to miss out. And as far as having the confidence because you have money, because all men know you can't talk to no chick if you ain't got no money. I don't care what she look like. It's no point in putting yourself in that situation. That you put yourself in a trick bag at that point.
So now, okay, you own something, and you own something. You said something when you said intelligent, but I want to go back to that scenario that I gave, of the hypothetical scenario that I gave, where I said, let me make it make sense. Then I said, you take the average-looking single man living from paycheck to paycheck. He got a job, but he just lived from paycheck to paycheck. He has a roof over his head, and he has a decent vehicle. And he really wants to be in a committed relationship. Mm-hmm. Now, if he sees that attractive woman, and she doesn't have a ring on her finger, she gets out of a $100,000 car, and she's dressed like she works in corporate America. Then I said that there's a good chance that man would admire her from a distance. But 9 times out of 10, he will not approach her. And the reason why he's not approaching her is not because he's not shy, not because he's shy, and not because he's ugly. The reason he isn't approaching her because he doesn't value himself to be worthy of her. So my point is that we as men, some kind of way, we either have devalued ourselves or we've allowed somebody to devalue us to think that we can't approach that woman.
So
because our pockets ain't right.
I'm not gonna say a devalue.
Yeah,
because I don't devalue myself.
Yeah, I don't.
And
agree.
here's the thing. This is what I believe. I just know for a fact that yes, she might be that type of woman, and you look at her you look at her car, you look at how she dressed, and think about where she work at. And once you've gotten to know her, and you know where she work at, and you know what type of person she is, and you having respect for yourself, you're gonna respect that woman well enough to say, I know I got to bring something to the table with this chick.
But here's what you just explained. You approached her. What I'm saying is, there's a lot of men.
That's their fault.
They just pass them up.
That's the point. That's the whole
that's their fault.
That's the show.
That's
the show.
That's their fault.
Okay. That's the show.
Not
a lot of men will not do what you just did. Slash.
That's their fault.
But yeah, we know
And
that.
the reason why I explained that was because if anybody is on that note, like I'm scared to talk to, then yeah, you tripping. But it's not. My thing was with it was a word that you said. Under like degrade yourself, devalue. Yeah, that shouldn't even be on your mind.
Here's the thing. You say, well, that's their fault. Mm-hmm. We're in agreement. That is their fault. But today we got to teach them. We got to show them that they are more valuable than just their money. It's okay for you to go and walk over to talk to that woman, and don't think because you don't have money that you're lesser value. You bring more. So what I'm trying to get out of you guys, and Slash, you actually said one of them. You actually said one of them because I listed here what I thought, and you actually said the first one on my list. So what I'm trying to get from you guys is, hey, how can we teach these guys that you're more valuable than just your money? Now, Slash, you said you have to have intelligence. So I believe that intellectual stimulation can get you there, but you got to go and you got to go talk.
The only thing gonna
but that's
teach you.
gonna only get you so far.
You ain't lying.
Intellectual intelligence.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
Throw you right in the friend
Here's
zone.
the thing. Just like you put in a resume for a job, they don't know you, but you have to go interview.
Right.
And that resume got you in the door. That interview gonna get you hired. So you walking over there to give some sort of conversation. That should at least, well, maybe not all, depending on type and all that stuff, and some other factors. But if that can get you her phone number, that's a start. There are certain men that will not even walk over there
Take that initial step.
because they think that they got to have paper
That's their fault.
to go do this. Well, we know
you
that.
can't teach them.
Well, we know that. We know that. But it still doesn't stop us as a podcast, and it still doesn't stop us as the mind of men to be able to give some game. Whether or not they use the game is on them.
They ain't gonna listen.
Well,
Question.
I was go ahead.
Slash, you say that's both you guys say that that's their fault. Is it their fault or is it the world that we live in? I mean, because reality is we grew up as kids seeing just how effective and powerful having money can be. So, and we've all gotten shot down at one point in time, I'm sure, in our lifespan for not necessarily having a certain amount of money to be able to do certain type of things to impress certain type of people. So I'm just saying, is it really their fault or is just
because
the mere reality of the world that we live in?
I think I still think it's their fault, man. Because and here's my thing: I'm not the type of guy that just approach every woman because I look for a specific thing in the first place.
Right.
So everything that look good to you ain't always good
Facts.
for you. You have to know yourself well enough to know what chick you gonna go up and talk to, and just have a kind of general idea because you don't know her personality. But this is the only gamble in that. when you do talk to her, what's her personality? Does she match your personality? Does it fit? Can we mesh anything together? So, I mean, either way, if you don't say nothing to them, then you'll never know what you're missing out on.
Now,
There it is.
yeah, so what you were talking about, Freddie G, happens normally between the ages, for me at least, 18 to 28. I'll see a woman be like, oh man, she got a Benz, and at the time, 18 to 28, I was bullshitting, selling weed, whatever. I wasn't working.
No, we don't promote that. We do that.
18 to 28, the statute of limitations is gone. so I doing little stuff wasn't really working, right? So when I did see a girl that hopped out of Benz, she got jewelry, just draped. I would say something to the nature, she out of my league. I think we've all done that, right? She out of my league. I wouldn't say that now. I don't care who you are. If I like you, I'm gonna talk to you. But back then, I can agree to you saying that you devalue yourself. Oh, she out of my league. I did 18 to 28, but not now. I wouldn't. And it has nothing to do with money. It's my thought. It's the way I think. I could be broke. I'll still try to holler at a girl with billions of dollars.
And that's the point of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just said that back then,
Mm-hmm.
there's still some older guys and there's still some younger guys.
Yes.
That, in my opinion, they don't see the value that they hold within themselves if it's not attached to money.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to say is that guys were much, much more than just money. You have to bring more to the table than just money.
Okay, I'll say this. 18 and 28, it seemed like that's when I met the best women. I had nothing to offer, nothing to give. So after you with a girl for so long and she's just a good woman and you ain't got nothing to give, my spidey senses be like, man, let her go, bro, because you can't offer her nothing and do nothing. Let her go catch a good man that can provide for her. That would be my thought process. So I would
so here's the thing.
Break it off.
If you have nothing to offer, right?
You devalued yourself.
I just said it. I said that earlier. I did 18 to 28. Yeah. I devalue myself.
And that's the point.
I wish I could do it over.
There's still some guys out here that think like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what I'm trying to offer those guys, in the process of offering those guys, also speaking to the women to be able to see more of those guys, if they're offering other than just money, more value other than just money, I want the women, the female listeners, to be able to say, you know what, I can see, here's the key word, potential in this gentleman here. I want to give him a shot. He seemed like he would make a good mate. It's not all about money, but he seemed like he'll make a good mate. So what are the other values other than money? What can a man bring to the table other than money of value to show this woman, hey, I'm more valuable than just money? Yeah. What can he do?
You can
be his actions.
Yeah.
I mean, he's saying what he mean and meaning what he's saying, and his actions are proving that he's doing exactly that.
Yep.
I mean, I got a scenario though, and this is a great topic, Freddie G. Say you got a gentleman that he's confident in himself. He doesn't have a lot of money, but he is confident in himself and who he is, and he approaches a young lady, a female or whatnot. And he entices her and impresses her with his conversation. Now they doing their thing. They go on a couple of, I ain't gonna say a couple of days. They hanging out a couple of times. No major money is being spent. He's impressing her with like just going to the park, walks in the park, things of that nature, where he's not having to spend a lot of money. And she's liking it in the beginning, but then it gets old, because she's wanting to do more. What do you suggest to those gentlemen that can't afford to do more, but they've already, they took that first step?
Well, then at that point, then it's actually on her. I'm going to tell you why. It's actually on her because you're showing you have other values. You're able to intelligently stimulate her.
Right.
You're able to communicate openly and honestly with her, letting her know that, hey, you know, I don't have a lot of money, but I want to go do this here, which I want to spend some time with you, blah, blah. Now, if you're leading and misleading her by pretending or saying little things to make her assume you have money,
That's one thing.
then that's some misleading stuff. And of course, if you're misleading her, then she's going to want to do something a little bit more because, hey, you know, I want to experience something other than just, you know, going on a picnic. You know, although, you know, that's romantic and that's cool, but let's go on a cruise or something. You know, let's go do this. And if you've misled her to make her assume that you have more money than you're just not wanting to spend it on her or with her, then yeah, that could be a problem. But if she's a shallow woman and just looking for the dollar, then I mean you don't need that anyway. You took your initiative approach to talk to her, to speak to her, whatever. But notice in that scenario that I said earlier, she's attractive. She gets out of a $100,000 car. And she doesn't have a ring on her finger. She's dressed as if she works in corporate America. She appears to have herself all together. She comes across as if she has more money than you. Mm-hmm. And you said you've taken the approach to go and talk to her, to shoot your shot.
Right.
She bid on it or whatever the case may be. But after a while, if you're still communicating open and honestly with her, she'll know how much you make because you would have told her. She'll know where you live because you brought her by her house.
You think a broke dude can carry himself like he got $1 million?
I believe he can. But at some point, once you meet somebody, if you're open and honest, they'll know that you don't have that $1 million, and then they have a decision to make.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
So it's okay to carry yourself like you got $1 million. Just don't be deceitful when you're meeting these females, and then after you're vetting them for a while. I mean, it's okay if you feeling well, just be open and honest, and let her make a decision, a choice.
Yeah, don't wait till that tax money run out. You done used it all up. She think you balling, but it's really just your tax money. Misleading.
Yeah.
Okay, and K Money, you mentioned something a little earlier in regards to society.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask y'all, do y'all think that society as a whole has overvalued the woman and devalued the man by default?
Nope. I think they devalued the women because now the men will go and talk to the chick that's stripping and taking off her clothes, which is a devalue to the woman.
Facts.
More than a man gonna go and talk to a woman in a business suit. So the woman has been devalued. The man really don't want the woman in the business suit, really. He not gonna go and talk to her first because he see that he can do this one quicker. So I think society kind of played a role in that part, but I don't think it switched it around to where the man's been devalued. We haven't been devalued, honestly. Think about it.
Okay.
That's a great point, Slash, because I was initially saying that I thought that society had, but when you said what you said, you quickly made me
devalued the woman.
Yeah, you quickly made me change my opinion.
Can't. The only way you can devalue a man is by calling him broke and not, stuff like that.
And they've been doing that. Yeah, they've been doing that. So
yeah, you're right. You got a point.
So let me ask y'all. Let's use overvalued woman, devalued man. So a wedding, both of them getting married. Who's devalued and who's getting the most value when it comes to a wedding? Who is the woman for?
The woman.
But y'all both in it. Y'all both saying vows. Y'all both in love.
But the man stands to lose a whole lot more if a divorce was to happen.
We're not talking about divorce. We're speaking. Listen,
I think
value. Who's valued more? Who's looked at upon when you're having a wedding?
Yes.
Who gets the most attention?
The woman.
Okay, so if there's a man being married, there's a man being married there. If the woman is getting more attention, then when it comes to wedding and wedding purposes only, is she overvalued and he's devalued?
I wouldn't say he's devalued, but
Yeah.
weddings is known for being her day.
It's for the women.
Yeah, it's for the woman.
You know, men are they supporting their other half by going through and having a wedding, because I'm sure a lot of guys would be happy with just going to the courthouse.
So when I asked earlier, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit in regards to society as a whole, who said that the wedding was her day if they're both getting married and they're both in love?
I think where K Money was going was about to explain just that question you was asking. Most men don't care about a wedding. That'd be the women. I have to have X amount of people at my wedding, and I want this dress. The most we do for a wedding is the same thing we do anytime we go anywhere.
Fact.
Put on something nice.
Yep.
Get a haircut. Boom. And
we gonna
stand
show
around.
up.
Okay, so let me ask you this. When it comes to Valentine's Day, who is that for? If you're both in love, and who's getting the most value?
The woman.
The woman.
The woman.
And the man is the man being devalued because they're both in love.
That example, I kind of feel that men may be. We get less on Valentine's Day, I'm gonna say. So I'm not saying that's still a devalue. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, it's still a woman's day, in my opinion.
It's her
Okay,
day.
and we're speaking of society as a whole,
Right.
And
Just
how
society has
is
us
viewing,
yeah.
and where's the value in the men for those days?
I mean, because when you see commercials, Valentine's Day commercials, more or less,
yeah.
you don't see them about a man.
It's no value for the man in that, besides the fact he might smash.
Okay.
Other than that,
And they
what
not
I
gonna
have
show
to
that.
Valentine's Day about.
Okay, here's another one. Mother's Day versus Father's Day.
Yeah, we devalued for Father's Day.
We definitely are devalued as fathers.
and only due to the fact that there's a Mother's Day. That's the only devalue, because the Mother's Day, they finna go and do everything. They're gonna book the place, reservation for the food and dining and eating and drinking and all of this. But for Father's Day, he gonna get a pair of socks, a tie,
some drawers,
you know, and then if he gonna do it, they might take him out. But if not, he gonna have to barbecue for everybody.
For himself. On his day.
And so, and again, this is speaking of society as a whole, and whether an individual may be overvalued, women may be overvalued, and a man may be devalued. So now we're married. We've already agreed that the wedding is for her. Now here it is, the anniversary. Every year an anniversary comes around. Every year. When it comes to the value, because hey, let me get this for my wife for the wedding anniversary. Let me do this here for the wedding anniversary. Let me go upgrade her ring for the wedding anniversary. Let me go do this. Blah, 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 blah. Whose value is a man devalued on wedding anniversaries? Is he looked at on a wedding anniversary?
This is my outlook on this. If her value, if me coming home to her is a value to me, I don't care what she asked me for on
the
anniversary, because every day I come home to you is a value to me, and that's how I'm gonna treat the anniversary day. If I come home to you and you taking care of house like you supposed to, that's a value to me. That's where I value at.
Yes,
that's why I married you.
Exactly.
So when it comes down to the anniversary, I'm gonna show you
exactly
that I honor what you do for me. It's not necessarily about you giving me anything, because every day I come home to what values for me. You
Okay,
know?
so before closing, right? And again, just give me one, each one of y'all. Taking money off the table. I initially started this off by feeling like men only value themselves when they got money, to approach a woman. They don't understand the other values that they bring, and they don't even tap into the other values that they bring. They'll lead with the money if they have it, and then you may see some of the other qualities and values as they go along in a relationship. But if they ain't got the money, there's a good chance that these women may not see the other good qualities and values within them. So other than money, before I close, can y'all give me at least one of each? Another value, a good quality value that a man can bring to a woman to show her that, hey, here's a good quality value.
If it's around the house, whether it's around the house or the car, I'm finna tell you.
Okay.
Whether it's around the house or the car, Mr. Fix It. Fixing things around the house, around the car.
That means you already got her. I'm talking about you're meeting her. You're bringing.
You are just meeting her. Okay.
You're trying to show her, other than money.
Then it would be my brains, my intellect. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say, like Ralph Tresvant said back in the day, it's sensitivity.
Okay.
I would say honor. Basically, you show her that you honor her presence.
Okay. So with that being said, man, as I previously mentioned, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Ladies and gentlemen, if your eye has spotted something that appears to be pleasing, tap into your true value. Money comes and goes, but the value within will always stand the test of time. This concludes another dope episode. Tune in tomorrow for Think Thursday. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. And for all my YouTubers, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Remember, the only way we grow is if you let them know.